In a world where self-expression and creativity seems to be undervalued these days, having a creative outlet almost seems essential to get through the day a lot of the times. For me, obviously, it's art. I am mainly an art channel after all, and I've been posting art content online for almost 10 years, which is insane to say. Now, for a majority of that time, I was pretty much posting whatever I wanted as far as art was concerned. I drew whatever I wanted to, whether it was fan art or my own characters, pretty much anything under the sun. Despite what the art police tell you, there's nothing wrong with drawing for fun, and there's no right or wrong way to do art in that regard. But it wasn't really until I started my YouTube channel that I realized I could have quote-unquote permission to work on the projects that I was really passionate about. With the constant threat of online censorship regarding content that's posted, I think having my own space was definitely something that I needed to continue my art journey. I'm Ayasuna and I make videos, more specifically art videos. And today we actually are talking about art, or more specifically, my art goals for 2025. I had intended this video to go out at the 1st of January, but life got in the way, and so many things have happened since then that I kinda had to delay it a bit. Though, low-key, I'm kind of glad that happened because I had more time to think about what I wanted to talk about in this video. Unsurprisingly, my first art goal for 2025 is, of course, to draw more. Even if it's just a 5-minute doodle in a notepad, I want to get into the habit of drawing something every day. Now, low-key, this might be contradictory to what I said in my art advice video. I don't necessarily think that you need to draw every day to improve with your art. As long as you have a focused goal in mind and you structure your studies in an efficient manner, you will improve. In my case, art is my form of journaling. It helps me get my ideas across in a way sometimes that words just can't do for me. After all, I'm a much more visual person and writing doesn't always hit the spot for me, to be honest. Being able to visually represent what's going on in my mind has been a huge help for my mental health overall. I think that when we visualize trying to draw something every day, we're mainly thinking of a finished painting or illustration. But it feels like my better sketches came when I had 10 minutes to spare and nothing more than a ballpoint pen to work with. It goes without saying, but you don't need a million hours to spend on a piece, nor do you need to have the most fancy supplies. It's nice to have, but not mandatory. Likewise, there are plenty of artists that only spend like 30 minutes a day learning how to draw and still become amazing artists. Also, pardon my hair here, you'll probably see that quite a bit in this video because I was trying a different setup for my traditional art videos. That leads me to my second major art goal for 2025, and that is to study more from life. Now, I've said it both here on videos on YouTube as well as on live stream on twitch.tv/isuna19, that I'm the type of person who studies better when I have a specific goal in mind. And I spent the last few months yapping about wanting to make my own Webtoons comic series, i.e. The Bookkeeper's Daughter. While I've drawn my original characters quite a bit on my channel as well as on other platforms, I never really went that much in depth about their backstory, and I certainly never made a Webtoons series before, so I obviously have a lot to learn. And working on a more long-term project like that definitely comes with a lot of different steps that I need to take. I'm looking at how to do different paneling, how to improve my storytelling, how to do character designs that aren't too complicated yet still recognizable. I know I want my story to be more of a horror type story and I'm going to be focusing on different locations, so lately I've been studying a bunch of different backgrounds and places. I've been reading a lot of cryptid and horror related topics, coming up with different horror stories to tell because I want my comic to be more episodic in nature. I kind of do want the structure to be like a series of one-shots because I don't know if I would necessarily have the time to work on something a bit more longer, at least for my first main project. Obviously, all of that is going to take time, but if each week I can work on something that makes me get closer to those goals, I think it'll all be worth it in the end. That leads me to goal number 3, and that is being less of a perfectionist. I'd say overall I'm a lot better when it comes to being a perfectionist. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, things just don't always turn out your way, and in something like art, it's really not the end of the world. I'm definitely directing this to myself because I've lately gotten frustrated with my digital art process lately. Like, I've gotten quicker with sketching and, refining my sketches, but, rendering is something that I still struggle with. Even after 2 years, I seem to not be able to find a technique that really sticks with me. And I know it's because I unhealthily compare myself to other artists who have a cleaner digital art style compared to mine, and mine is a bit more on the messy side. I'm used to just opening my sketchbook and starting drawing like I am doing here. For digital art, it's not quite that simple. I'm still in the process of learning how Clip Studio Paint works, and I've been using the software for over 6 months at this point. I just recently learned how to use gradients, which will definitely help in adding the finishing touches to my pieces. I think my other weak spot when it comes to digital art is knowing when a piece is done or not. My art process for traditional art seems a lot more straightforward compared to digital art. I know how to get from point A to point B and what steps I need to take to get there. With traditional art, you sort of have a feel of when a piece is starting to become overworked and you can pretty much just stop. But with digital, there's so many tools and options available that it can be hard to know when enough is enough. My art style is more on the messier side as far as liking different textures and colors and seeing how it all looks on the page, so with digital, it's definitely been a learning curve. And I need to be more patient with myself as far as learning that type of stuff, because I definitely do get frustrated quite a bit sometimes. But if you made it this far into the video, you might as well leave a like as well as subscribe, as that would help my channel out quite a bit. I like talking about art in terms of self-improvement, as far as not just art, but in life in general. I also live stream, and I have a Discord where we also talk about topics such as that. I'll have that listed down below. And that actually leads me to my fourth goal for 2025, and that is to be more engaged with the art community. I already talked about it previously about how I joined a bunch of different art Discords, but I've been too scared to really interact with them. I know that if I want to grow as an artist and as a channel, I will need to collab with other people and see what they're working on. I think a lot of a common complaint in the art community about not having enough engagement is that people themselves don't really engage with the type of content that they like to see. I myself am a little bit guilty of this. But I think since starting my channel, my whole social anxiety shtick has gotten a lot better. Other artists definitely aren't someone to be scared of, and more often than not, they definitely want to help you improve, as well as themselves. So having a fresh set of eyes to review your work definitely isn't a bad thing. And I definitely want to be more active on other art discords as well as art streamers, because the art space definitely needs all the help it can get. The art and creative fields in general are quite competitive, but that doesn't mean that we can't support smaller artists. Especially in 2025, when self-expression is definitely on the books here, it definitely helps to have a community of artists that aren't afraid to express how they think. Having a community of shared interests and values is definitely also something that a lot of people are looking for these days. I definitely want to do more art trades and art collabs, so that would definitely be something to look forward to. Reaching out is definitely important these days. It definitely should be encouraged in the art community. My fifth main goal for the year is to incorporate more graphic design into my work, because for the past year or so I've been obsessed with learning how to do graphic design. But I noticed on Twitch and also sometimes YouTube that there isn't that much graphic design content out there, which is kind of surprising. I kind of wanted to plan some streams where I did some graphic design on stream. That could be fun. There are plenty of art streams, there's plenty of music streams and dancing streams. There's also streams dedicated to programming and coding. But I noticed there really isn't a huge space for graphic designers online, which is surprising given how much graphic design has dominated social media. It's something that I definitely have been learning in order to market my Webtoons series in the future. But I'm thinking I may try to do streams where I kind of monetize off of my graphic design skills that I've learned. Obviously, I'm still working things out, but it's definitely something that I thought a lot about lately. Even studying a little bit, I did learn about graphic design. It did help me be a better artist. The topic of graphic design actually leads me to my sixth main art goal for 2025, and that is making my own portfolio website. Late last year, I actually did start working on programming my own website for my art and my graphic designs, but I'm gonna be real, I got busy, so I kinda gave up on that. But I was talking about it before, but I'm thinking about revamping my old Tumblr page and using that as a blog/art gallery, if that makes sense. Tumblr has had quite a resurgence lately in terms of social media, and I think I might make a video about that in the coming weeks. Related to that, I might also start my own newsletter, if that makes sense, but I'm still working out the details for that. Just relying on these social media platforms to promote my work definitely isn't gonna work, especially with platforms changing like the wind. So I've been looking into other ways to get myself out there. If not my own website, I'm thinking about setting up my own Substack, because that could be interesting as well. And like, this is way down the road. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this year, but I'm also thinking about setting up a Patreon/Ko-fi to, I guess, help me fund these projects that I want to work on. Because like, the main goal for this channel is that if I were to get monetized on YouTube or even on Twitch, then I would save for an editor, and then I could make more videos and live stream more. I'm sort of digging the decentralized nature of social media platforms these days, so I'm gonna try to lean more into that. Because waiting on Meta and Twitter to get their mind right and not pander to some of the worst people in pretty much all time is like waiting for pigs to fly. These platforms only care about money and not the user experience. My 7th major goal for 2025 as far as art is concerned, which I'm also not entirely sure if I'll be able to finish this year, is to complete the 301 Things to Draw, which is a book that I got last year about all these different art prompts that I kind of wanted to tackle this year. I want to turn it into a short little series to have like a second video for the week. And it ties into the first main goal that I had, which was to draw or at least do something creative every day. I think it would also be a way to catalog my progress for the year. Because a lot in 2024 I mainly shifted to digital art. I haven't done as much painting as I would like, but in 2025 I do kind of want to balance it between digital and traditional art, if that makes sense. Even if I don't complete it this year, it is something that I do want to start this year. Especially on days I don't know what to draw, but I want to draw something. I think it would also help with my storytelling issues for my upcoming Webtoons series. And on a little tangent here, this particular piece was to mark the year of the snake. In fact, I was a snake born in 2001. So I drew my PNG tuber/VTuber avatar with a bunch of snakes and snake paraphernalia. I started opening up my watercolors a bit more since I haven't really been using them these past few months. And like I said, I was also trying to test out my new traditional art setup for recording stuff, so I figured that this was the perfect opportunity to paint something. I guess my other major goal for the year is to improve my streaming/recording setup, which is pretty self-explanatory. Every time I try to stream traditional art on Twitch, I find that my phone gets overheated and my recording stops halfway through, which happened for this piece, actually. Which is why some of the footage might appear to be a bit choppy. I had to jump around and work with the footage that I had because I didn't really want to start over. If I can get my art set up to work for traditional art, then I could definitely do a bunch more review content and do them even live on stream. I was also thinking of getting one of those children's art sets and trying that out on stream and making that into like an illustration. I actually think that would be a lot of fun. Like every month I would get like a different crafting kit and we would make something on stream. Again, I don't know if that this is something that I can do this year, but it's definitely something that I do want to try to attempt to do. So definitely stay tuned for that, both here on YouTube as well as on twitch.tv/Isuna19. Also, if you guys have any specific art goals or just goals in general for the year, let me know down in the comments. I'm interested. Unironically, me starting this channel last year helped me grow in ways that I didn't even anticipate when I started. But creating overly big and ambitious goals can sometimes lead to disappointment if we can't always reach them. Well, obviously I would like to at least complete some of these that I listed here today. I would be just as satisfied if I only completed 1 or 2 of them for the year. Being patient with yourself is definitely a lesson to be learned when it comes to art. And some days things just don't work out, but that's okay. No artwork/goal should come in the way of your mental and physical health. In my case, I've taken a bit of a lighter tone when it came to streaming because it was interfering with other things that I had going on. Despite that, I still take the time to create things that I enjoy, and that is working on this channel. So that was a bit of a worthy trade-off for the time being. But currently, if I stream 2 to 3 times a week, I think that's good enough considering what I have going on, and the many things that I have planned, like I said. I think maybe down the road, like 6 months in, I'll probably make a second video as a follow-up to this to see how much I've progressed since then. But that's for a later date. My last main art goal for 2025 is to be unapologetically myself. Obviously, censorship on the internet is becoming more widespread these days, and certain communities don't feel like they have a voice anymore. I already talked about why art is important in an increasingly anti-intellectual culture, and being able to stand up for marginalized communities and groups that don't always have proper representation is so important, especially now. Art isn't just about what looks good or quote-unquote appealing or clickable on social media. Art tells a story, whether that's about our own lived experiences, or about groups, like I said, that don't always have the most accurate representation. Art, by its very definition, is political. We should be able to express ourselves freely without having to deal with people saying DEI or woke all the time. I want my channel/community to be a place where people can express themselves and not have to worry about bigotry. A place that we can have debates in a civil manner about art and overall content that we may not always be in agreement about. Because at its core, art is supposed to make us think about our world around us. Because even if I don't do anything else this year, I want to continue expressing myself as I see fit in a world that's constantly changing, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the worst. In a world that can seem quite close-minded about a lot of different things, I want my channel to be a place where I can be open-minded about different topics and things that interest me. Because even now, I like learning about different things. Doing the research on my story is making me become more appreciative of different cultures, and by extension, making me a better artist. These things inspire me to want to continue on my journey and learn even more. And I'm really excited to see what 2025 has in store for that. So all in all, my main goals for the year are to continue to improve with my artwork, continue to grow my channel, and work on projects that I do find quite interesting. And even if I'm not able to do all those things, just taking steps towards those goals would make me a happy camper for the year. But like I said, I'll probably make a follow-up video in regards to this, so stay tuned for that. I also have other content planned for February and beyond, so also don't hesitate to like and subscribe if you're interested in that. And yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next live stream/video, but until then, peace.
you